guys, it's Courtney, and today I'm going to be showing you and reviewing the Sperringer medium prong collar. First of all, I understand how controversial these are and how people think that they're torture devices, so I'm going to cover everything about them in this video. This might end up being a two-parter as well. I think that they're a good tool for training if that's what they're used for. So without any further ado, let's get started. So firstly, I'm going to say how you use one. And I'm using mine as a last resort. Choke chains were not working. The shock collar is only working on recall. Austell wasn't responding to the choke chain. She'd just pull until she choked herself. So I talked to a woman who trains German Shepherds and breeds them, and she swears by these. She says that there is a night, once you get the dog acclimated to it, there is a night and day change, and I've noticed that with Austell as well. I've been using it for about 4 weeks now. They are not torture devices in any way. I mean, I can put it around my arm. That doesn't hurt at all when it's closed. But what you want is for it to be open. You don't want it ever to be tight around the dog's throat, because the dog is correcting itself basically with this, because when they pull on the leash it closes and then it lets go. When you loosen the leash, it's just like a choke chain, but basically with prongs. They are very robust, and if you get the one that's from Germany, the Sperringer one, it'll last you a very long time. I'm actually have this one on loan from somebody because I could not afford one myself. So I am just learning 4 weeks on and off use of it. I use it when we go to public places. I use it because I'm training her as a service dog, so she's very obedient when it's on. She'll even still pull through the prongs because she's used to how it feels, so I have to remind her with the technique. It's called snapping. And what it is I just pull this tight once, and once I get a reaction out of her, it lets her know that, oh crap, you can still be intense with this. So it kind of snaps her back into reality. You're not hurting the dog in any means. It's just like a shock collar. They don't ever know when you're going to shock them, so it just startles them. It has become a wonderful tool in my arsenal of training devices. I don't see it as a torture device, and I was very, very wary about using it. It took them an hour to convince me that it was a good idea to use on my dog. So I tried it out, another one out, and then she responded almost immediately to that one. So we moved to this one. It's sized to her neck. It comes apart like so. You never want to put it on over their head or pull it off of their head, because then the prongs dig in and cause immense amounts of pain. These are made to where these come apart and go right back together. I'm wearing this one in pretty well, so it's coming apart at the seam right here. If you'll notice, there's a hook and prongs to go into the hook, and then they just go in like so. They go in like so. It takes me a minute because my fingers aren't strong enough. But once you have it in, it goes like this. When you put it on the dog, like I said, you don't want to do it like this over their head because it'll hurt. And you don't want, once it's on, you don't want to pull it apart, pull it off of their head either, because the prongs do have, these are rounded. but they still have a little bit of a kick to them, and the dog will let you know. It's very, very useful though. A lot of people seem to be using them now, and I think because mostly they were associated with mean pit bulls at first, but they've been around for years and years. I know dog trainers who've been using them since the 80s. They've just become more mainstream because now people are seeing that they actually work. Some people still use them as status symbols, which is kind of disgusting, but for the most part, people know what they're used for. If you're wondering what this... So let's look at the anatomy of a prong collar. You have the prongs, which, depending on the size of the dog, depends on the number of prongs you have. You want it to fit snugly around their neck, but you want to be able to get at least your fingers under it. 2 or 3 fingers. And it has to be able to slide up and down. You don't want it so tight that you're still choking them. The prongs come apart, like I explained, and go back together. Then you have the D-hook, which is where you connect the leash if you want the prong collar to be in use. And then you have the O-ring, which this is the one that you use if you're not going to use it as a prong collar. Say you're doing recall training or any kind of training like that. This stops the prongs from being collapsed. So you can't really prong them with it. You just train with it like that. I prefer the D-ring myself because I always have a little bit of leverage. And like I said, this fits around the dog's neck and this collapses. But you still have all of this room as well, so you're not choking the dog. I'm no specialist on prong collars. I'm just talking from my own experience. Disclaimer. As far as like a review on this particular prong collar, I would like to say that I met a woman at Petco the other day who had one of the cheaper ones, and it felt very flimsy, like it wasn't sturdy, and she said she's had it for years. I didn't really believe her because I just don't, unless you get the German one that people have trusted, I don't think you'll find a better one. I feel like this one, because it's got this in the middle, doesn't completely do its job. I don't per se say that it's a bad thing to have this in the middle, which sits right here, but I feel like if they would have just made this another loop here, you'd have 2 more prongs. So that's one of my little critiques about it. Like I said, I'm borrowing it for free from somebody, so I can't really complain about it, but as far as use goes, it has been a wonderful tool. Like I said, Austell knows exactly when I'm putting it on that we're going to be training and that she better behave. She also knows that when it collapses around her throat that she's not behaving. She does obedience very well with it. Another note I'd like to make is that this is actually just choke chain. If you look at it, it's just a choke chain. You can get these in all sorts of colors. Also, they have cloth ones that look like regular collars, so people don't know you have a choke or a prong collar on. As far as anything else really about it, I would say get the German one. Everybody that I train dogs with has suggested this German one. They say not to get any other brand except for a German one, because the German ones last, and they've had dogs escape because the prongs come unclasped so easy, and as you can see, I'm struggling to unclasp this one because my fingers don't work. But this one, it's a struggle to get undone, and Austell has yet to get it undone. So, and she pulls pretty dang hard, so I feel like I'm got a good situation here with this one. But yeah, if you are considering using a prong collar, please do your research. It can easily turn into a torture device if you're not doing it correctly, just like a shock collar can. I have had to do a lot of research on shock collars, and now I feel like I'm using it properly. With this, it's the same. You never want to use a tool that could be used to harm a dog unless you know exactly what you're doing. Because even though these prongs are like cut off at the end, I'm pretty sure they could still do some damage if you don't know what you're doing. So, without any further ado, I'm going to apply it to my dog and let you see how you put it on and take it off. Alright, so the way you apply a prong collar, if she'll stay off, is you unprong it, so it's like this, and then you put it around their neck, and you clip it back together. Now, what I was saying about never pulling it over their head is that it literally causes them pain. So, usually the collar should sit on the left side, like so that when you pinch it, it feels like their mother is biting their throat, or their neck, throat. Because this instinctually tells them that what they're doing is not okay. To remove the collar, again, you do the same thing. You unpinch it, and because now my hands are covered in saliva, it's not going to come off. You unpinch it, you never pull it over their head, and you pull it off. And then you can leave it unpinched, or whatever's easier for you, and then you're done. So there you have it. My intro into prong collars and my review.